Okay, well, everybody, I'm so glad that you've come back to see us on Thoughtful Thursdays. And it is a wonderful day. Fall is my favorite time of the year. We have such wonderful weather this time of the year. Fall and spring have always been my favorite, but I never could decide between the two. And Keith made the comment that he liked the fall because we don't have the extreme wind. And I thought, that's true. Here in the Panhandle of Texas, we get some extreme winds. I mean, like here at our house, we've had it at 98 miles an hour, clocked by a scientific site that's just a half a block away. So there's nothing to stop the wind at our house, just a lake. So yeah, fall is and if you just think about it, the wind that you do get is friendly wind. It's not that overwhelming, knock you over if you look at it wrong. So, I mean, I had it total a car 3 years ago. It totaled my car. Just the wind, just the wind. So never heard of that before.
I have no concept of that. But I'm from Montreal, and we would have the ice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anyways, but we have a great show for you today. We are so excited to have Paulette with us. So Paulette, I mean, we've told you, this is kind of a really informal show. So we just don't stand on ceremony. And personally, I don't like hearing a canned bio, because you know what I would say about you might be very different than what you would say about what you do and how you impact the world. So, hey, you know what? Just welcome for being here. And thank you, audience, for coming and joining us too. This is going to be a great show. So stand tuned. Paulette, how are you?
I am fine. And, to just jump on that weather theme that you started, 26 years ago, I made a choice from one coast to the other in the United States. And people would say to me, well, caused you to move from the Northeast to San Diego? And I said, I wanted to live in a place where snow is a choice. And I could have it if I want. There's 4 different climates within 1 hour.
Yes.
That get recorded every day. They get reported, every day. And, it's something for everybody. I prefer not to have snow.
Mm-hmm.
God don't like ugly. So when I get cold, my wonderful disposition just takes a nosedive. So I am fine, and I'm delighted to be with you today and for us to have a chat and see where it goes, and just have a great time doing it.
One of the things that just you triggered in me, my dad, he lived to be 102. I only lost my dad 4 years ago.
Wow, that's great.
But he would always talk about that it was always a sunny day.
Mm-hmm.
It was always a sunny day in Montreal, because we always had sunny.
Yeah.
We had liquid sun, and we had solid sun. But every day was a sunny day.
That speaks to perspective. It really does. Right. Your choice,
I truly believe that's why he lived to be 102.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a couple close calls. One of the I will take one little bunny trail of this, of why it is so important to have a goal. When he was like 92, he got really sick and had pneumonia and just whole night kinds of. And he was like, okay, so he was lying there in the hospital room, and my sister had called me and said, Barb, Dad's not going to get home. And so we just did a forced drive up to Montreal. And so as we were sitting, all the 4 of us were sitting there at the hospital, he said, you know what, I've lived a really long life, and I've been very healthy up until now. But I'm, so it's kind of like, okay to go. And my older sister looked at him and said, Daddy, I thought you wanted your letter from the Queen. And in Canada, you get a letter from the Queen when you turn 100. We literally stood there and watched the wheel start to turn. Because the next thing out of his mouth was, I do want my letter from the Queen. And 10 more years.
I love it.
Oh,
I love
you
it.
know, it's never too late. It's never too late to turn your life around, to start something new,
Yeah.
to go in a new direction, to start a new wellness program, to start a new business. It is never too late.
Absolutely.
Grandma Moses didn't start painting until she was 88.
Yeah. Well, I've got a big birthday coming up, and it's a bizarre one because the number doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm certainly, I have a lot of tread left tires.
Yes. Love
And you know, and my parents gave us really good genes. We blessed them for that because they were difficult otherwise. So, you know, talk about reframing. They gave us really good genes. Thank you, thank you. It's a sunny day every day.
Yes.
So yeah, I definitely am open to all kinds of possibilities. And when peers of mine, or even people younger than me chronologically, start cronking about how old they feel, I said, don't get that on me, please. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Not interested.
Yeah.
So
I've gotten to the point now where I just kind of walk away from it.
yeah.
It's like, I am not going to listen to you belly aching and moaning about what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
One of mine has a whole list. And it's like, yeah, I'm done.
Well,
I
my
love being-
place in circles seems to be that I can reframe things
Mhm.
without insulting people.
Right.
You know,
Well, I'm
and
happy to insult them. I can just go, excuse me, you want me to agree with that comment?
Yeah.
well, you know, Carol, you can get away with it because you're so adorable.
Exactly.
You really are. And
I
I've
use
gotten
that
away with
comment
things
often,
with
but you
framing
know,
it in my humor, you know, framing it in humor, because I have what I call fashion statements that I wear behind each ear. And
Oh, okay. Right. Yes. Yes.
yeah, see, even that, just referring to them as fashion statements.
Exactly.
And when somebody says something that really is counter to my whole worldview, I'll go, excuse me, you know, I didn't hear so well. I thought I heard you say, and then I'll reframe it. So, you know, it's a way of making the
Oh.
point without leaving dead bodies in my wake.
That's a
is
good
that what those
idea.
things are out on the porch? I thought they were chickens. I didn't realize they were dead bodies that were piling up.
Humor has saved my butt more times than I can tell you. And people have said to me, do you stand up comedy? And I go, well, I do stand up and I do comedy, but not formally.
Yeah.
You know, it's just part of the fabric.
Yeah.
Maybe we
You know,
need
they
to
always
start
say
you a
laughter is the
channel for
best
that.
medicine. Yeah.
I
Laughter
think-
is the best medicine.
Yes, yes.
It is.
And if we can't laugh at ourselves, or like with me, when I mess up, it's like, oh, well,
Yeah, right.
okay. Mm.
One of the ways that I managed to catch myself almost in a fall, but you know, in an emotional fall of saying something that, wait a minute, that didn't come out the way I wanted it to, is just to say that, you know, that didn't come out the way I wanted it to. Let me rewind.
Right.
And it's incredible how much I've been able to get away with since then.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
It's
and
like-
that's the thing. So many people do not take ownership of it. You
Yeah.
know, they don't say, oh, I'm sorry. Well, I mean, I made a comment to Barbara on the trip, and our viewers know we took a very long trip, and I made a comment to her, and she came back to me a little while later and said, that hurt my feelings. I said, oh,
Mhm.
I didn't mean it that way by any, and that wasn't my heart. I would not hurt her for the world. I might be mean to
Right.
her occasionally, but I wouldn't hurt her for the world. So, you know,
Well, Carol, even you and I had a conversation. Carol, you and I had a conversation not long ago, and I was speaking in generalities, and you already were thinking I was talking about you. And you said, did I say something wrong? And I said, no, not even close. But you know, that really is so important. And I'm seeing the increasing value and importance of being as open as possible without blame, you know, without blame, and
Right.
being as open as possible and saying, did I say something wrong? Or that hurt me.
Right.
And to be able to clean it up quickly and thoroughly.
Yes.
And
Not say,
that's
oh,
what we
I'm
did.
perfect. I didn't do anything wrong. Nothing I said was wrong. It's all your part. And if anybody hadn't read the book, The Traveler's Gift, it's basically a guy that God sends him back in time to meet with people. And the first person he met with was the buck stops here. Wasn't that Roosevelt? That said,
Might
had
have
the
been,
thing on
yeah.
his
Teddy
desk saying
Roosevelt.
the buck stops here, and that has been lost in our society. It's all,
Yeah.
no, it's not my fault. It was my parents. It was my teachers. It was my brothers and sisters. It's never my fault. And that is
Mhm.
something that's a concept we've gotten away from. And yeah, I talk all the time about you can spiral up or you can spiral down. And that concept of it's not my fault spirals you down. To take ownership of something and say, did I, how did I, let me rectify,
Right.
all the things that Paulette's saying, that helps you to spiral up.
Yeah, sure does. Sure does. And when I find that I'm getting really annoyed by what everybody is in a conversation is saying, I realize that I'm swimming in the run at that moment.
Right. And that's
It's
why
not,
I walk away.
yeah, I'm just
Walk
swimming in
away
the
from
wrong
it.
pond. Doesn't mean they're bad people.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
I'm swimming in the wrong pond and I have
They're
that
not
choice.
your
And
people. That,
that's
They're not
right.
my people.
yeah. And you're like the 5 people you spend the most time with is who you become like. So take a look at your friends. I don't mean kick them to the curb, but a friend of mine gave me this analogy years ago. I think I was in my 20s, and it's like they're like a hand, and these are your 5 best friends. Well, these work really close together. They're very dexterous and can do so much. This one's a little left. I mean, like you could sew with this hand, but it's not quite as easy as here. Here it gets a little harder and there's not a lot of strength. This is your least strong finger. And then there's your little finger. How many times do you do something like this? You do it like this usually. And so I was looking at friends and she said, these are like your 5 best friends. You may be trying to do everything here and that person's not supposed to be in your life as tight, but then you have one that's supposed to be here and you're treating them way down here. And so I prayed, and I was so concerned that there was one friend that God was going to move here and she was here, and that wasn't the truth. We were in right relationship here, but there was another one that was trying to be here with me, but this is where she really belonged. So think of that when you think of your friends, but all 5 of these friends should be in alignment. It's harder. It would be hard to do something like this. Even though it's the two right fingers, you couldn't sew this way because this hand isn't in alignment here.
Carol, I love what you just did like this, because sometimes it is all chatter.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you
Yes.
it's
It
all
can be.
chatter and it's not action, and it just kind of goes, out into the universe.
Well, and
But
we
I
have
love what you just did. I had not seen that. I had never seen that particular analogy. I
Go
love
use
it.
it.
Yeah, it's one
I'll
of those
swipe it.
nuggets that one of my mentors had mentioned. I didn't know to call them mentors back then, but a friend shared and stuff. But and we worry about that. And nowadays we're on Zoom so much, and we have so many uh, relationships that we've never met face to face. Paulette and I haven't met face to face, and so it's easier for people to not keep their commitments. And she and I had that conversation the other day about people that don't keep commitments. Yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll go here. Yes, I'll meet you on this Zoom or that Zoom, or I'll do a project with you. And then they don't show up. Well, that shows their integrity. Now, if they're not showing up because something big happened, somebody's in the hospital, somebody had a wreck, those things are understandable. But
Life happens.
yeah, those people or their family needs to contact the people on their appointment list and say, Carol couldn't make it today because da 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 da. So I don't know that Keith would know how.
Yeah.
He wouldn't know how to look at my appointment calendar now that it's not always in paper. But
Yeah.
But even that, I think that my own experience, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if each of you have similar experiences where somebody had a one-time in the moment situation where either somebody at work scheduled an appointment on the calendar and didn't know about it ahead of time, or where somebody got sick and it was an immediate need. If it's a pattern, that's totally different than once or even twice, because that speaks volume about their integrity. But before we get too far out of what we started to say, I was thinking just now about how amazing it is, and you gave just the perfect example, Carol, just now, where each of us knows stuff the other one doesn't know. And as much as that sounds like an amazing grasp for the obvious, I've kind of made a living over that, that each one of us has stuff that's valuable, and it's so easy for us to undervalue it because we know it. And I had a funny experience a few years ago. Close friend of mine and I were walking at the local big county fair, and she and I have different kinds of smarts. She has book smarts. Well, I'm not exactly a slouch, but my smarts are more heavily in the area of common sense, and practicality and
nice
things like
putting it.
that. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just so I have very hungry clothes, and I inevitably land food on most to feed them. And my friend, and I'm very, appreciative of what the stopper is. But at any rate, I had dropped some chocolate or some grease. I mean, something really substantial on my nose. And my friend to me, don't worry, white vinegar will get it out. And I looked at her like she had 12 heads. I said, what are you talking about? And she said, well, you do know. And she was kind of, had an attitude about it. Well, you
Condescending.
know that white vinegar is a cleaning agent, don't you? And I said, no. And she said, how could you not know that? You're a full adult and you're intelligent, above average intelligent. How do you not know that? I said, it's very simple. I said, in the top 1,000 descriptors of my late mother would never be good house cleaning. It wasn't something he knew. How could she teach me something she didn't know? So, as basic an example as that is, rev it up to something more substantial. But the fact is, it really does make that point. And, I see some books on your shelf behind you, Barbara, and that I know that there's a lot of contemporaries of the three of us who have the time and they've been wanting to share their information. And then they go, well, doesn't everybody know it? And, oh, it has to be a book. No, on that also, it doesn't have to be. And I've had just the best time of helping people look at the things they know and figure out ways to share that and maybe even money at it. So, I think you started to ask me about my introduction a few minutes ago, and I just wanted to give a little quick into that, so that folks know that, yes, I am more than just a pretty face.
Well, she's a publisher and she does have some amazing products. We'll put some links in the comments and stuff like that. And we're also going to have her very soon on our The Aging Experts, because so many people in the second half of their life, men and women, have things to share, just like that.
Yeah.
Just, they used to call them old wives' tales. Well, those old wives' tales, those old wives were smart beyond their years. And we forget some of those things. And so little tidbits here and there, like the white vinegar, that's priceless.
I didn't know that. And there's stuff that I know that my friend doesn't know.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
that's like a friend of mine. Her uncle.
Go ahead.
Her uncle was absolutely a PhD to the nth degree, but don't give him a hammer.
Yep.
Literally, do not ever give him a hammer. I mean, his wife could build a deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Well, and that's like, God says we're all fitly joined in his body. Well, and it says in the Bible, if the eye looks down on the toe, well, I mean, it kind of can't look down on the toe, but if it looks at the toe and sees the toe is less than, well, your little toe is your balance. Your big toe
Yes.
pushes off. In fact, somebody who has their big toe removed, they have to put this big weight in their shoes so they can walk. I didn't know that until recently, but they
I
put
didn't
this
know
big
that.
Wow.
toe-shaped
Yeah.
weight in their shoes. I mean, it's a whole prosthetic that they must wear because it balances them and it gives them the
Mhm.
momentum. And
Yeah.
so, the little toe is important. You would fall over more often
Yeah.
if you didn't.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I just broke my toe,
yeah.
and look at that. It
She
was
she
like,
was sad for a month.
yeah, it just, yeah. And it's just now really getting to the point where I can walk without
So
discomfort of it.
I have a
And it's been like,
question. Was your toe not listening to your eye when you hit that piece of
I
furniture?
know. Obviously not.
But
I remember some comic years ago talking about what's the most important part of the body.
Mm,
One that hurts at the moment.
yes.
exactly. And it takes all of these parts.
Yeah.
If you don't have hands, it's hard to feed yourself. So that makes the stomach sad. It makes the mouth sad. It makes the whole body sad because you're not as nourished.
Mhm.
But we take our parts for granted, but we also take the body for granted. And the body is anybody that follows God. Okay. uh and we are all Judeo-Christians here, and so we have this same God, and we are part of that body, and that's why we work to be rightly fit together,
Yeah.
and so that we can hear the toe or hear the eye or hear the ear. So anyway, I'll get off that
Everything's a
little.
lesson too.
Huh?
Everything's a lesson. Everything is a,
Yes.
I've had both my hips replaced, and I hadn't been a patient in the hospital until my late 60s. I had never been a patient in a hospital. And what I really gathered from the experience of having each of those hips replaced was, in that point in my life, there was a message there of slow down a little bit, missing a lot of things. You got to notice some stuff. And my life had depended on it. I could not have moved faster during those lead ups and then the recovery to those procedures. And I got to tell you, I had everybody laughing in the hospital and skilled nursing both times. I mean, it was just, they were clamoring to come wait on me. It was
Exactly.
fascinating.
But it's like that you hadn't been taking time for you, and then you had to
Yeah,
be still, be still,
yeah.
take that
Yeah.
time.
No choice on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I swear that's why I broke my toe. Because I had been burning the candle at both ends,
Yeah.
trying to get ready for the trip,
Yeah.
trying to do whole bunches of other things. And then it was like a couple of weeks before the trip, and went, oh,
Yeah,
crap.
those toes
I
are
just
more
did a
important.
spread eagle
Yeah.
across in one of my.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the last gift my dad ever gave me, because my goal in life was to live on 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. I had my modeling agency up and running, and it was rocking and rolling. And the last gift my dad ever gave me was a candle. He'd always say, "You're burning your candle at both ends." And it was a candle that you could burn at both ends. It was this little blue thin string candle that had been knotted.
Mm.
It was when it was warm, and it had two wicks. And that, it really kind of spoke to me that that's the gift he had
Mhm.
for me, for his
Mhm.
last gift. He didn't know it was going to be his last gift, but for his last gift that he ever gave me.
Yeah. No.
So
Very
Sometimes
interesting. Yeah.
you just have to, bite the bullet and go, hey, you know what? I need a break.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think what happens to all three, at least for me, and I think we all feel the same, is we love what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We love what we do.
Yeah.
However, However, you can love what you do, still need a break from it.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Like sometimes people are living on the beach, which is a wonderful place to live, and they haven't even been out to put their toes in the sand.
Yes.
Thank you, Carol.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is a little health tidbit. Putting your feet in the sand or in green grass, and we don't have
Yep.
up here, but in the green grass will ground you. It grounds
Yeah.
you to the earth, and you know how you feel when you're at the beach, or how
Oh,
you
yeah.
feel in the mountains, that energy and feeling wonderful and stuff. You can do that anywhere in the world almost.
Mhm.
A little harder in the panhandle of Texas, but you can do it by grounding yourself. Go outside, walk in the grass, walk in the dirt, find you a beach, and that puts energy into your body. It's free.
I am aware of that.
Free.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know you were, but I still had to, because you're supposed to be resting and you're working too hard to put your toes in the sand. So anyway, we're coming up on the end of our time. So what last thoughts do you have, Paulette, that you can share with us?
I think one of the biggest things, and I realized thinking back on our conversation today, that the word choice kept coming out of my mouth. And I think that it's important to remind myself and anybody else who's listening that no matter what the situation looks like, there's always choice.
Yeah.
There's always choice. And even if, and this may be the biggest one, even if it's a change of attitude about the situation that you're in, that if you feel locked in that you cannot change the situation itself, you can, and I can change how I'm viewing something
Yes.
so that that opens up other possibilities. And certainly our chat today reinforced all of that, because I think each of us came up with different things that really reflected the capability we have as humans to look at things from different perspectives and make a choice.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Choice is a big deal. It is.
Yeah.
And we have it every moment of every day.
Yep. Yep.
There's not a small
and-
choice. You may think, oh, it's just a little choice. Speeding through a yellow light, you might consider a little choice. But what
You
if
might be dead.
I'm in car? Yes. What if somebody ends up dead because of it? And so, I mean, but that seems like a little choice. Speeding on the road to get from one town to the next seems like a little choice. But what if a hitchhiker actually steps out in front of you and you don't have time to avoid? Or
Well,
something?
I've also heard stories that a lot of the people who survived the Holocaust did so because they were absolutely choosing
Yes.
what their perspective was.
Mhm.
And I cannot think of a more challenging
Right.
situation to be in, that when we have the evidence of people who managed to survive it because they activated that capability that no one could take
Right.
from them,
Yes. Well,
and lived, lived on.
yes. Everyone here probably knows who Anne Frank is.
Yeah.
If you don't, go read her diary. But one of her comments, and it's in that Traveler's Gift. Yeah, Traveler's Gift. Yeah, Traveler's Gift. But she says, today I will be happy. That was her choice every day. She would laugh every morning within the first 8 or 9 seconds she was awake. And she couldn't laugh loud because, she was hiding. But, she would laugh and make herself joyful every single morning.
Well, this comes back full circle to what Barbara said about her father saying it's a sunny day.
It's a sunny day.
There it is. There it is. So thank you very much for inviting me to play
this
with the
was
two of
fun.
you today.
Oh, I'm glad.
And this has
you
been
came.
a
This is
blast.
great. This is great.
Okay.
So, everybody, you make the most of your day. Choose your choices. And if you have two choices, sit down. If you cannot make a choice, write down on a piece of paper pros and cons. There are some choices that are big enough that you don't know quite which way to go. So write them down. What are the benefits of this one? What are the benefits of this one? And what are the bad things about this one and the bad things about that one, and it'll become clear. It will become
Right.
so. Everybody,
Yeah.
were you going to say something, Barbara?
No, well, we didn't introduce ourselves. So let's just say hi. I'm Barbara Ellison, and I'm a life transformation trainer. And you know what? Exactly what Carol just said. You can transform your life one choice at a time.
Exactly. Exactly.
Don't be, yeah.
And I'm Carol Henderson. I have Life by Design. I help you design the second half of your life to be better than the first. And it is possible. It's possible for you to be healthier, more wise, more content, to make better choices. If you've been making bad choices throughout your life, I can help you make better choices.
Yep.
And that will make your life better. And like I say, you'll start spiraling up. So reach out to us. Any of the
Yeah.
three of us would love to chat with you more. So we will see you, and
Have a great one.
bye.
Bye.